when it comes to Trump, what did he do? He missile strike in Syria, weapons deal with Saudi Arabia, commando raids in Yemen, a little girl got killed. And I've been, for the most part, very, very critical of him and any other administration who engages in regime change, foreign wars. And look, I got to say, when it comes to domestic issues, that's not my wheelhouse. When it comes to foreign policy stuff, only a little bit. Like, I've been to some countries, I've experienced the stuff, but really, on the ground, cultural between, people is more my thing. But I know more about foreign policy than domestic. And when I see Trump's foreign policy, I was very critical of it. But I will point out, withdrawing from Syria, I'm a fan. I understand a lot more than probably the average person does, some of the issues surrounding Syria, Russia, the Qatar-Turkey pipeline and things. But typically, I think it's usually a bad idea when the U.S. involves itself in foreign interests and tries engaging in these regime change strategies to build allies. But one of the things that really blew my mind is I saw a survey, at least it was going around on social media, so who knows if it's true, that claimed the Democrats have a favorable opinion of George W. Bush, something to that effect. And they're
in retrospect,
like today they pulled him. They're like, oh, he was good. And there's a video of him like giving a piece of candy to Michelle Obama, and everyone was like, it was going viral, and people were laughing about it. I'm like, are you nuts?
They hold hands.
That's crazy. That guy's awful. I don't like that guy. But what happened? And then when Trump announces he's going to pull troops out of Syria, everybody opposes it. Like, the media is saying it's wrong, and you've got a lot of like mainstream people on the left saying it's wrong. And I'm like, it is? What do you mean? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, all of my activist friends, we've never been in favor of that stuff. We've always opposed it. That's always been the left's position. And now I'm seeing people who claim to be on the left support multinational businesses as private businesses doing whatever they want.
Meaning like social media corporations.
Yeah, like dude, Saudi Arabia, I think it's a Saudi prince is one of the biggest investors in Twitter.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's like there have been a series of people who have gotten letters that they've violated Pakistani law. I mean, they send screenshots. Screenshots can be faked, but there have been a couple people who have been like, for some reason, Twitter decided to inform me of this, and then it's a multinational. Let's talk about the algorithmic apocalypse. Let's segue into that. You've got a platform where our public discourse is happening, where the left has repeatedly said that Russians used it to manipulate our elections, where one of its biggest investors is a Saudi prince or something to that effect. And they're banning people of a certain who oppose a certain ideological bent. Like, that sounds like a democratic crisis, right? If this is where the public sphere is, if you said Milo's no longer in the conversation, he's banned from Twitter, even though he's got millions of followers.
Right.
They don't talk about him anymore. He's off Twitter. Twitter really is important. The president is there. So if you start removing people, you've got foreign interests who have a stake in what Twitter is doing. Yeah, they can seriously influence our elections.
Yeah.
And they are. But I'll move into what was really crazy. New York Times reported there's a group that false flagged the Republicans in Alabama with fake Twitter accounts they made to convince the media Russians were propping up the campaign of Roy Moore. So basically, this, according to the New York Times, this is all fact. They've seen the documents, they've reported it, that Democratic operatives engaged in a false flag campaign to make it appear like the Russians were propping up Republicans, and the national media in the U.S. ran with it. How that's not a crime is beyond me. That's interfering in elections, and we know it. And this group is still being cited. They're smearing Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Yeah.
An NBC News article came out saying that Russians are, have taken notice of her campaign, are promoting it. Same group. Still running the story.
Damn.
How that's not a crime is mind-blowing to me. But the New York Times reported it, so it's at this point, it's like, that's...
Well, I think we have to be aware that there's so much manipulation going on right now from almost every angle.
Oh, yeah.
And what's hilarious is that people look at what's going on with Russian troll factories and, the way they're trying to influence our elections, that it's particularly egregious.
Yeah.
Where we do that shit.
Oh, totally.
Plus...
And I'm pretty sure we learned about the U.S. doing it well before we learned Russia was doing it. And I'd be willing to bet the U.S. started it.